Okay, so this is probably going to be a video that I wasn't planning on shooting today, but we've got some thunderstorms rolling through and I want to give it a little bit of time to know that it's fully clear. Should be gone any moment, but I figured while I'm just waiting around, we might as well shoot a video that I've been meaning to shoot for a while, and that is a review, early, in progress review of my 2022 Hobie Outback fishing kayak. So right now, as you see it, I fully plan on going fishing today specifically for fluke. So I'll give you the rundown of what this kayak is, how I use it, some of its pros, as well as maybe some of the things that I wish were a little bit different about it. So let's start at the front. This kayak's probably about 12 or 13 feet. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. So yeah, this kayak is a warranty replacement. I originally had a 2018 Hobie Outback, but I cracked it. And long story short, since it was new, I was able to get a warranty replacement. However, the thing with that was this kayak retails a bit higher than my original Hobie did. And it was actually slightly out of warranty, but because of COVID, oh look, a bunny. Anyways, hey bunny. Whatever, getting distracted. Because this Hobie was slightly more expensive than when I bought when it was new, I had to pay the difference for this as well as shipping. And this was in the peak of the whole supply chain issue. So with that being said, I did have to pay a little bit of extra money for this, both for the shipping and the difference in price, but at least I didn't need to buy a new kayak. But yes, it's a lot of kayak for your money, and I say that both as a good thing and a bad thing, because this thing is heavy. I am not going to stress that. I am not a small guy. I'm right now, 220 pounds, fairly good shape in terms of strength. I used to do a lot of exercise, just haven't had time for it, but I was pretty able to lift that other kayak, the 2018, above my head and put it onto this car. However, this one, I can still do it, but much more difficult. Getting it down's not so bad, it's a little awkward, but getting it back up, I could lift it, but I know as a 35-year-old man, that's not going to go well on my back in the future. So there are other options to get this thing up, which I'll show you at the end of this video. But that being said, this one's a little different. It's a little more awkward to carry because of just a lot of the metal up front. It makes it almost a little bit front heavy. I could be wrong about that, but for me at least, compared to the other two Hobies that I've used, like the 2014 and the 2018, those two were more balanced. The weight was kind of even from front to back. This one, again, a lot more weight on this section as opposed to this one. But anyways, up front, this is where I keep a lot of my stuff that I use, both things that I use a lot and not. So when I'm just driving this thing or walking this thing around, I keep the Mirage Drive on top of this cooler, which is a Canyon cooler, and there'll be links in the description to all the products I have. In the sail mast here, I keep my third-person GoPro, which is a Hero 5. I don't even know if you can get these anymore. It's the Session, very cheap. One battery in this thing, and I have just like a simple selfie stick that I mount and just slides right in there. Additionally, if you're wanting to know, take this off. The strap shouldn't be around the GoPro because if it goes over, that's no good for anyone. We have the hatch, which is double hatched, and then I have my battery. I keep it inside of a box, and then the wire goes into there. The battery's inside here, and this keeps it a little bit more waterproof because moisture does get in here. I don't like to keep the wires exposed because I used to do that. They'd always get wet and corroded. I'd have fish finder drama, as I like to call it. So this has definitely helped keep things a bit more dry and manageable. But I'll close that up. We have our fish finder here. You have two tracks or whatever that are built into the kayak. That's something you did not have on the old Hobie 2018. So I definitely like having this. You don't have to drill into the kayak, it's just ready to go. And the wires, I did not need to drill into this thing. It's built ready to go. But this is a Lowrance 7 HDI. It's the split shot. I once had the triple shot, but I don't really use side scans, so this is enough for me. With that being said, on this side, I have a dog leash that I have attached to the Mirage Drive, just in case this thing, slides off the side or we flip. At least that way it'll be attached. I know Hobie makes some kind of thing for this, but as Hobie likes to do, it's way too expensive, so I'd strongly recommend just getting a dog leash, and that'll do the trick. Unlike the 2018, you have dual steering for the rudder. I'm so used to using my left hand to steer that I hardly ever use this one, and I keep my rod in the right hand, but I guess it's nice to have it. We have the chair, which I will mention, actually, that's another thing I had to pay money for, because this chair is not exactly the same as the one for the 2018. It's a little bit wider. Perhaps you can fit that one into this, but I just bought it because I like the idea of having two kayaks. So this chair is essentially the same as the 2018, just a little bit wider. Otherwise, as far as I can tell, it's more or less the same. In the back, we have just a simple egg crate, which I have two very modified rod holders going in. You know, this is a high-tech deal right now. Not really. And I just throw my stuff in the back here for whatever I'm fishing. So we got two tackle boxes, got another little backpack. And here in this bag, I keep a sponge. I have a pump too, but honestly, I think the sponge is a little bit more effective at getting the water out if it's on the spot. But the pump I'm not bringing with me. The sponge is better for me, at least, but you could agree to disagree. But I do have a pump as well. I keep the net in the rod holder. I like to have it a bit more handy. If it's behind me, it's a little hard. I'm a little bit bigger. It's hard for me to grab it. A new thing as well is this particular flag is awesome. This is, I think, the Yak Attack. I'm not sure. Yeah, Yak Attack. It has a light bulb up top, and then it connects right to the track. But that's not the coolest thing. This thing fully collapses, and then you can put it inside of this flag thing, so it doesn't take up any room. My old flag was just one piece, and I had to like lay it horizontally on the seat of my car. Much better design. I strongly recommend it. It's not cheap, but again, you get a lot of money. You get a lot of flag for your money. Obviously, we have our life vest, PFD. We're wearing right now our dry suit, as you can see, because the water's probably still in the low 50s, mid 50s. Another thing to note is under here we have our wheels, which I will bring with me. They attach directly to the scupper. Put them upside down. And another difference, unlike the old one, the old 2018, is this has a handle in the back, which makes it a lot easier when I do put the kayak back on the car, which I'll show you at the end of this video. I attached this specific strap. This didn't come with the kayak, but it makes it better. I feel a bit more confident with this thing on the roof when I use it this way, and I'll show you why also in the end. And then one of the big differences between this and the 2018 is you have the rudder, which is directly under, versus the other one, which it would kind of sit up here. And speaking of which, the rudder lines go here. When I first got it, these things kind of got loose, so I had to tighten them a bit, but a little bit different than 2018. Of course, we have our paddle here. Definitely have a paddle, because I kid you not, one of my least favorite things about Hobies is just the Mirage drives. I don't know what it's going to take, but these things just break, you know, piece by piece, left and right. So always be ready. Never go so far that you can't paddle your way back in, or at least have another Mirage drive or electric engine present, because it's not a matter of if, but when these things give out on you, at least if you fish as much as I do. We also have storage up front, so definitely an upgrade from the 2018 and the 2016. You have a little pouch here. I haven't really used this yet. I have this little area which I put my things in, two air sealed compartments. You can take this out and you can get under the boat, but I'll leave that there. You have enough space here to maybe put some very small tackle boxes. I bring my phone with me. I keep it inside this waterproof pouch, and some of you have commented on my videos and Instagram. This is a little flotation, so ideally if, you know, somehow this thing comes off me, which I wear around me, it will float and it'll stay dry. Maybe a little bit extra, I don't know, but that's what I like to do. And this is just the rundown of my kayaking setup. So far, I do like this kayak. It's a little bit clunkier, I feel, than the 2018. I thought that one was a little bit more nimble in the water, whereas this one's a little bit more touchy. It's good, make no mistake. The rudder line here, it defaults here when it's pulled up, and when you let it go, it goes down, so that's kind of a weird thing. But what I do when I'm not using it, or, you know, traveling it, is I put it in here and kind of wrap it around so it's not just banging on the roof rack the whole time. But yeah, I think that's about it for the main stuff. You also have these tie down things, which are pretty cool. Definitely nothing like this in the old 2018. And you can adjust this line or just take it out as well. You get a lot of space back here too, so I can put other stuff here. I mean, technically I could probably put another Mirage drive here, because as you know, I do have 2 Mirage drives. Right now I keep my measuring ruler, which I definitely need to replace if the paint is peeling off, but always nice to have that with us. I keep a little tape measure in the front as well. But I think that's the main rundown of this kayak. I will show you how I put it on the car, because that's a little bit more involved than how I take it down. But let me know what you think of this. If you have any questions you still have, I'm happy to answer them in the comments. And if you'd like to see me compare this to my 2018 Hobie, which I still have, though it's a little bit Frankensteined up, I would love to do that as well if you're interested. So just let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think the weather is good now. So let's see if we can get some fluke. Okay, here we go. Step 1, we're gonna take this here towel and throw it up top of the roof of the car. Why, you ask? Well, you're gonna find out in a second. Step 2, we're gonna take this thing. I got it off Amazon. It's the Malone kayak loader or something of that nature. Huge shout out to my friend Eric, who kayak fishes with me from sometimes. He showed me or told me about this thing. So basically it suctions to the back window of your car. It's not a perfect science, but I just got to get right at the right angle. It's different for every car. I have a hatchback, so it works well, but if you have like a sedan, I think it's 2 of these, it'll work just as well. And there's different settings for this. Ideally, you're supposed to put it up this way, but due to the way I like to drive and the nature of how this thing's loaded and some of the roads I'll be going on, I like to put it upside down, and that's technically not how it's supposed to be loaded, or ideally loaded, but that's just me. So we need just a little bit of space to get it on its side, and we're gonna go to the other side of the kayak and not let it flip over. And this does cause a little bit of wear and tear in the side of the kayak, but this thing's not meant to float on its side, so I'm willing to allow it. And just gently turn it upside down, get the wheels out of here. Okay, as you can see, doing it this way, you don't have to worry about putting the stand on because the rudder is completely, you know, safe. And we're gonna just lift this up. I mean, technically, you probably don't even need the loader, but I like to rest it, the kayak on the loader, like so. And I'm just gonna grab it from the handle, take our time, line it up, best of our ability, use our chest, not throw our back out, and just slide it up onto the crossbars. And it is heavy, but I can't stress enough, as someone who was lifting this thing up onto the kayak, just, you know, straight deadlifting it, bodying it, way easier. There you go. Take that thing down, throw this in the back. It's not super expensive either. I think it's like 50 or 60 bucks thereabouts. Much cheaper than a Elevator. And then we take this and throw this wherever. Who even cares? All right, I'm going to show you how I strap this down, and then that'll be it for the video. Okay, so ultimately you have to do what works for you. And some of you might be watching this and saying, oh, why do you do it this way? It's just because this is the way I like to do it. I feel confident when I'm driving with the car, with the kayak looking like this. More confident I would if it was on its front. So there. I probably could get away with it on its front and it would go much easier up with that loader, but this is just me. And if anything, I'm just showing you a possible way to live with a Hobie Outback with a smaller car. But anyways, now how we transport this thing. We have some Thule nylon straps. So we are putting those things across, and then we have an additional set of straps as well. And that's another reason why I like to have it upside down, because the way those other straps go on the car, I just would feel kind of sketched out if it was pulling the kayak in the opposite direction that it should be going in. So I like to start with the back after we do this section. Okay, so at this point another car pulled up and I didn't want to look weird talking to myself on camera, so I'll just do this last minute or two just narrating. So basically you get those nylon straps and you tighten around the kayak with this particular setup. Like I said, there's no real roof rack, just the crossbars with some softeners. Then we have these back straps, one for the front, one for the back. I have those going to tow hooks and tie them tight, basically making sure that the kayak doesn't go anywhere. There's 4 points of contact, so that thing is really on there good. Tighten up everything pretty good, so I'm very confident that this kayak isn't going anywhere. And again, this is another reason why I like to have it upside down, because it doesn't really work this way with it right side up unless you get some foam pads or if you have a proper kayak rack to go with it, which you can do and I've done before. I do have some J racks, which I've used in the past, and if and when I have multiple kayaks in the car, that's obviously really the only way I can do it with this particular setup. So, yeah, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. This is just the way that I've been doing it, and I've driven this thing literally hundreds of miles, and quite fast as well. On some major roads, you might find yourself going 60, 70, even 80 miles an hour if you're passing, and this thing has never budged. So it's a very reliable setup, and if you do have a smaller car, you can make it work with the Hobie. You might have to get a little bit creative with how you fit everything, but it can work. So that's my system. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely hit a like, drop a sub, whatever. But more stuff to come soon, so I'll catch you in the water when that happens. Goodbye from Fishin.